what you're doing. I know that some programs have gone into effect in reference to the feral cat situation. I know that was, there were some spaying and neutering programs that we're going into, and I'm gonna get some information on that and find out more about it. I know that we're gonna talk about some things upcoming here, maybe even tonight perhaps, in reference to the situation on D Street and what we can do to prevent things like that from, how that happened, and looking back at it in retrospect and figuring out what we can do in the future about it, because it is important. And then, you guys have any follow-ups? I'm sorry.
Just to follow up.
Commissioner Amoroso,
There is.
you've been on vacation for a while, I forgot.
You pointed in my direction. The problem with the actual structure, we were surprised too, and unfortunately, under the zoning, that was allowed. Right, I know that they're looking at other ways of tweaking it and figuring out what exactly happened there. Feral cats, there are quite a few programs going on. I just got an email this week of other organizations that are aggressively coming to Lake Worth and doing the trap and release, so hopefully they'll hook you up. I'll get that information to the President's Council and try to figure that out. The sidewalk situation, we are addressing a 2020 situation, sidewalks being one of the big picture, trying to figure out worst first and areas that, like you said, certain areas don't have any sidewalks at all and it forces you out in the street. So, and then also street calming, we're looking at part of that package being street calming. So we are aggressively looking at it, it's just time consuming.
Commissioner McQueen?
Thank you, Brian. A slight request. If we could do some of the meetings not on the Tuesday nights that we meet here, then I'd be more able to get there. I was happy to be able to come the last time, if that's a possibility. I think we could probably scrape up the money for RIDGE.
Yeah, I forgot to adjust that.
Yeah.
Thanks for noticing that.
Spell check.
And rather than waiting for 2020 on the, because I think you mentioned specifically North E Street not having sidewalk on part of it. Did I catch that?
I said D. But,
Yeah, there are some parts that don't.
yeah, they come and go. Like
Yeah, my street does the same thing.
Yeah.
It's weird. If we could perhaps, especially D, because there, I notice, in fact, coming to our meetings in the morning, there are a lot of kids that meet on D to get picked up to the bus stop. Right by that new building, actually. So that might be a priority, just to look at filling in some of the missing spots. It's not that many that are missing, but there are definitely parts that don't have it. Maybe we could just move that up a little bit. And could we get some sort of clarification, because the issue with the feral cats that's been there for a while is that they're in Sunset Ridge Park, they're on a corner of that, and I wasn't aware of this, but I guess there's some issue because it's city property. Are there any restrictions on what we do, or can we just go ahead and?
I'm going from memory here because there was some discussion about this. As the owner of the property representing the city, the county, in order to permit it, had to get permission from the city. And there wasn't unanimity in the neighborhood that the program was something that y'all wanted. And so I don't know if it was resolved after that initial discussion, because I remember Christie was involved in that, and that's all I remember. So I don't know what y'all's position is on having a feral cat colony permitted there.
I think the discussion that we had wasn't with the entire neighborhood or even myself, it was with one of our neighbors. And they said that they would like a feral cat colony if the person actually followed the rules and did the trapping and
Right.
you know, vaccinated.
Exactly. Yeah, as long as they're
And
not.
we're not really involved in that, but the county was looking to us because it was in city property, authorizing it, which then makes us part of it. And if the person running the program isn't doing it correctly, then it gets more complicated. So, and I think I remember that's where it was left with Christie. So
Yeah, I mean,
it might have been that it stopped with us.
all I know is that they were told to do it one place.
Now there's
They just started going around in a giant circle, and they ended up just narrowing their circle and they focused on the park. That's where they ended up.
Okay. We'll get back and find out where that is, one, and two, there was, I know some recent discussions about trapping and working with some of the populations. I know that there's some programs, and it might be Peggy Adams.
Peggy
Adams,
Adams will let you bring them in for 10, and the
Yeah.
issue is just trapping
So
them.
we might be able to coordinate and see if we can do, but we don't really have a policy or a discussion on feral
If-
cats, honestly.
If we fell into a couple of extra monies, because you got the RIDGE cheap, and we bought, say, 2 traps that residents could borrow from the city, that seems to be the big limitation, is actually physically getting the cats. Once somebody's got them in a trap, taking them to Peggy Adams, from there it's, downhill.
I believe they'll supply the traps.
Yeah, no, well, maybe they have recently, but I know that's been the issue in the past.
Peggy Adams has
You've got to get them there, they don't want to
Let
be
me find
messing.
out the details,
All right.
honestly, Commissioner.
That'd be great.
If you find anything, please forward the information to our email address. sunsetlw@yahoo.com.
And I have an adopted.
All right.
You got 4. You're the crazy cat guy.
They didn't come from that calling. They didn't go in there.
You got 5.
You have 5.
I had one before I moved to Lake Worth.
I had 3.
Now I have 4 more.
Commissioner Zerby, did you have something?
Just one last thing. I think Steve Vaughn, Steve Hahn had a really good way of handling the park over there. But I don't think he worked on the sign, so to speak, but I worked with him on that. And I do think, I go by there with a lot of kids, there's a lot of activity in that park now again, so that's really, really good. And I think also, street lighting is something we want to ask about in the area, so we can kind of include requests about that kind of an issue as well, because that's coming up in a lot of the different neighborhoods too, so they want to float that in the group.
Okay.
All right. And thank you again for.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Commission liaison